All right. Wow, this is a fun meeting. You pledge allegiance with no flag. You pray for the wrong person. You tell jokes, which is appropriate. The only joke I know right now is what happened when the frog's car broke down? It got towed away. You know that one. That's what happens when you tell old jokes. Yeah, that one's one for the kids, and that's all I know. Otherwise, what I know are some secrets that super achievers use to be more successful. Would you like to be more successful in 2016? Yes! Then we have a common bond there, because so would I. And there are certain things that super achievers do that the less than super achievers don't. They do things that they have embodied and embedded into their daily behavior. So this is going to be an abridged version of the presentation. There are many more success secrets than I can share with you this morning, but I've picked out some of what I think are the best, and that will help you if you will apply these. So let's go ahead and get started with these. But before I do go into what I have already prepared, I want to talk about someone who is a super achiever in the East Bay, because I just heard this on the radio coming over here. And I love to incorporate new material that's applicable, especially when it applies to our geography. John Madden is a super achiever from the East Bay. Now, I came out from the peninsula, so I was thinking, boy, how can I personalize this thing? So John Madden just had open heart surgery in San Francisco yesterday. So pray for him, pray for John, because he did have surgery. They said it was successful, and that's terrific. John's secret to becoming super successful is that he dictated his terms. What was unique about John Madden? He didn't fly. He doesn't like to fly. Right, well, two things. He doesn't like to fly, but many people who don't like to fly that have a job like John's, they fly anyway. But not John. He said, not only do I not like to fly, I will not fly. And so they built a custom bus for him that would take him across the country, back and forth to where all the games were for the NFL. And if you know a little bit more about John's story, what you know is as he was going across the country, where he would stop, he would get to know people in the local areas. And so he embraced all of America. They got to know John because of his bus. And what he did on that bus as he was going across the country, he was watching game tapes. And by watching those game tapes, he became one of the most informed commentators ever for the NFL. And that made him a very unique property on those broadcasts. He knew everything that there was to know. And it made him an excellent person. So he dictated his terms of success. That's your first secret of super achievers. Do it your way. All right, Chris, let's go with the next slide. So let's open here with a quote from someone who is not from the East Bay, but he was pretty successful in starting his company from his college dorm room. Am I blocking the screen or is it above my head? It's above my head? Okay, that's good. I'm only 5'9". So here's the quote from Michael Dell, and you won't be seeing me doing this because Chris was nice enough to set me up with a monitor over there. Great. Okay, next slide, Chris, please. And Chris is the roofer?
Yes.
Okay, I thought he worked here at Tommy T's. Wow, Chris is multi-talented. All right, your second secret of success is to think big. You may have heard this before, that your mind doesn't know the difference between a big idea and a small idea. Your subconscious mind will go to work on whatever you tell it you want to achieve, whether it's a big idea or small. So why not tell your subconscious mind that I want to go big, that I don't want to just be average. I don't even want to be above average. I want to be extraordinary. I want my idea to make people question me as to whether I could really do this. When people question whether you can do this, that's when you know you're thinking big. And when you think big, you can feel it through every cell in your body. You tingle with excitement because you know that the world doesn't believe that you can do this, but you do. This is how you feel when you think big. Next, Chris. You feel like this. Because you know that you are on the verge of doing something that is fantastic. Don't you want to feel like that? You've got to think big. There's really no reason for you not to. If you want to play big. But know that if you think big and you go after a big prize, challenges will come your way. Big challenges that will make you realize that this is going to be harder than I thought. So you'll have to decide, how far will you go? Chris, next slide, please. So I want to tell you a story about Whole Foods Market. Raise your hand if you shop at Whole Foods Market. So do I. I like Whole Foods Market. What was the original name of Whole Foods Market? Half Foods Market. No. Yeah, but that was funnier than my Toad joke. You knew the answer to the Toad joke. What was the original name of Whole Foods Market? Okay, you don't know this one. Yeah, this is a secret. Very few people really know this. The original name was Safer Way. Safer Way in 70. Right, like Safeway, but it's a safer way. It's a safer way. John Mackey is the founder of Whole Foods Market. Well, really, he's the founder of Safer Way. When he originally started this market in Austin in 1978, he decided that he wanted to be much safer than Safeway. He wanted to offer only products that had no white flour, no sugar, no caffeine, and no alcohol. Within 1 year, he lost half of his $45,000 that he had gotten from family and friends. So then he realized, okay, wait, maybe this idea is half-baked. Maybe I do need to offer some products. So he decided to kind of bring it down a little bit and not be so puritanical and offer products that did not have artificial flavoring, food dyes. And so he did still stay somewhat true to his original vision, but he decided he had to tone it down a little bit. But that was not his biggest challenge. One of his biggest mentors and investors, and also a member of the board, was his father, Bill. Bill and John were cut from the same cloth until John decided that he wanted to go big. Beginning in 1992, when it was now Whole Foods, it had already been for a while, John wanted to expand and merge and buy out other markets. That's part of the success of Whole Foods, is they bought a lot of other markets and converted their names to Whole Foods. Well, Bill was more conservative than John. He wanted to go the safer way. Well, Bill wanted to go the safer way, but John wanted to keep expanding. And so they would butt heads and argue about this expansion strategy. Well, in 1994, John made a very difficult decision, and he confronted his father and asked him to resign from the board. His longtime mentor, one of his biggest supporters, an investor and member of the board, that's how far you might have to go with your big vision. Are you willing to go that far to ask your dad to resign or a family member? I run into people in business all the time that have family members involved in their businesses, and they tell me in private, yeah, we have problems, and I struggle. I kind of wish, they tell me about all these problems, but they're not willing to part because, well, they're family.
Do John and Bill still talk?
1 year later, thank you for that question. 1 year later, Bill came back to John and forgave him. It took a year, but he did forgive him for that decision, and he felt that John had made the right decision because, as you know now, Whole Foods is huge. They have 90,000 employees, 400 stores, and they're a very good company. So John was right to let go of Bill. All right, next slide. So what's your big idea? For 2016 and beyond, what is your big idea? I say beyond because you're not going to be able to achieve it just in 2016. Chances are it will take a while. But what is your big idea? Next slide. And will you go all the way with it like John did? So this first section, think big, go all the way. Don't let blocks get in the way of you achieving your big idea. All right, let's go to the next slide. In order to achieve great things, you will have to master your time. This is a secret of the super achievers in our society, that they master their time. They only have 24 hours in the day just like us, and yet super achievers are able to run, in some cases, multi-billion-dollar global companies. How is it that they can handle that, and we're running a business of 100,000, 200,000, 2 million, 5 million, 10 million, even 100 million, compared to multi-billion-dollar global corporation? Imagine the stresses and strains of running a company like that, and yet they're able to do it. They're just human like us. Well, they've learned to master their time and focus on the right things. So that's what this section is about, because you will have to master this in order to be super successful. Okay, next slide, please. What I've learned about time management is that it's not time management. It's actually self-management. Time manages itself. The clock keeps ticking. The clock keeps moving. It doesn't matter. We're not managing time, but we're managing ourselves. So here are some rules that you'll need to follow if you want to master time. The first one is this. Next slide. You must own it. You must be 100% responsible. And this goes through other aspects of life, not just in relation to time. I've heard many, many interviews with very successful people because I study successful people so that in my coaching I can bring that to my clients. And in many of the interviews that I've listened to, people say that once I decided to take 100% responsibility for my life, everything changed. I no longer played the blame game. I was no longer full of excuses. I accepted what I could not change, and I focused more on myself than on changing other people. I took 100% responsibility for my relationships and how each and every day went. And when it comes to your time, you must own it and take responsibility. There's no getting around that. But how can you do that successfully? Well, here's the first secret. Next slide, please. You need to build a wall around it. Some people call this boundaries. We need to have boundaries of how our time is used or taken by someone else. There are time vampires in our days that take away our time. These are the got-a-minute meetings. These are the unexpected phone calls, the emails, just want to pick your brain. These are all time vampires. And if we don't build a wall around it, those time vampires suck our time from us. Let me give you an example of how a super achiever builds a wall around her time. Sarah Blakely. Do you know who Sarah Blakely is?
Space.
You're right, Don. Sarah Blakely is one of the youngest female billionaires in the US, and she started Spanx, which is the shape-hugging stockings, I guess. I have not worn them. As you can tell, I don't need Spanx. But she has become a billionaire from Spanx. Her first 2 years, she got no all over the place, which is another secret, right? Go all the way. Remember, she went all the way with Spanx. She still kept her day job those first 2 years. Can you believe that? How does Sarah build a wall around it? She lives 5 minutes from Spanx's headquarters. But she doesn't take 5 minutes to get to work. She takes 40 minutes to get to work in Atlanta. And you're scratching your head thinking, wait, she lives 5 minutes away. Why does it take her 40 minutes to get to work? Because she finds that she does some of her best thinking in the car while driving. So what she does is she takes the long way to her office in Atlanta so that she can have time to think. That's how she builds a wall around it. No one talks to her while she's in the car. Now that we have these things, it's really hard to build a wall around it. We used to be able to concentrate more easily than before we had this. So it's a little bit harder now. And that's why she's willing to go to that extreme to do something like that. So think about what are the boundaries in your life that you need to set up. Okay, next slide, please. When you have boundaries around your life, then you're able to go forward by focusing on your priorities every day. What are your top 3 priorities every day? And are you working on those each and every day? Or are you allowing the time vampires to come in and suck the day away from you and your priorities so that by the end of the day you feel like, I'm not sure what I did today or what I got done. I was busy, which is one of our favorite words. How are things going? Oh, I'm busy. Busy is good. I hear that a lot. Busy is good. Busy isn't good. Busy means that you're probably not focusing on your priorities. I like the word productive instead of busy. I'm productive because I focus on my priorities. Here's a person that focused on his priorities and achieved big things. Next slide, Chris. While running 2 companies, Steve would dedicate up to an hour and a half of each day focused on his top priority. Up to an hour and a half. Can you imagine? How could you possibly spend up to an hour and a half on your priorities each day running 2 companies? That's $5 now. If you focus on your priorities, you can run 2 companies. You can. If you don't, you will have trouble running 1 company because your company will stagnate and it will stay the same. So you must focus on your priorities each day. And one way to do that is by doing this. The next slide, please. Some people do a to-do list. And a to-do list is linear. They write down the things they need to do each day, and they might use the ABC system. They put A's next to their high priorities, B's next to their medium, and C next to the ones that are less important. This is a grid, and it's pretty simple in that up the left side, increasing importance. Across the right side, increasing urgency. So this is a visual way to plot your to-do list. You put your to-dos on here based on, are they urgent and important? Therefore, you must do them today. Are they important but not urgent? And these are the ones that are easy to neglect. Are they urgent but not important? Which are the ones that busy people do all day long? And are they not urgent, not important? And these are the ones that people do when they don't really understand how to manage their time. So you would start here, then you would move here, and then you would come down here, and chances are you wouldn't even have time for this, and this would naturally go away on its own anyway. So this is another way of looking at your to-do list that might work for you. All right, next slide, Chris. You have to eliminate distractions. Top distractions in society today. Just say them. What are your top distractions?
Cell phone, email.
Cell phone, email. Facebook. What? Coworkers. TV. YouTube. What else? Amazon. Yeah, apps, right? Apps on our cell phones. We love our apps. We have all kinds of distractions. If we're not able to eliminate our distractions, we will have a very hard time getting work done. Plain and simple. The way to eliminate distractions, build a wall around it. Have you heard of Dan Kennedy? Dan Kennedy is one of the most successful marketing minds in our country. And how Dan eliminates distractions is he doesn't do email, he doesn't do social media, he doesn't even have a smartphone. He has a desk phone. And when that desk phone rings, it's by appointment or it doesn't get answered. He still uses a fax machine. And someone else looks at the faxes first and decides which ones Dan should look at. Talk about boundaries. Wow. Dan is fanatical about building boundaries. And Dan has written probably 30 books. He gets paid $25,000 a consulting engagement for a couple of days of his time. And the guy is hyper successful because he is productive. Okay, next slide, please. He's very good at eliminating distractions. So to close out this section, I want you to make HABU your mantra. What does HABU stand for, you're wondering? Highest and best use. Highest and best use. When you consider your time as its highest and best use, am I doing something now which is the highest and best use of my time? And if you think that throughout your day, chances are that you will be productive, you'll be focusing on your priorities, and you'll be doing what's urgent and important. So let's review the concepts in this section. Next slide, please. So these are the concepts in this section. You must own it. You must build a wall around it. Focus on your priorities daily. And do that by eliminating distractions. And always use your time to its highest and best use, except when it's time to rest, relax, and do whatever you feel like. Because when you're productive during the day, that gives you more time to just chill and relax and do whatever you want. And you can throw Habu out the window nights and weekends. All right, let's go into our third and final section. Sorry about this slide. There's something about the latest version of PowerPoint that's doing this to me, and it's just driving me crazy. I already fixed this last night. And it did it to me again. All right, but here's what it says. Choose the right people and deselect the wrong. This is a challenge in small business. This is a challenge even in medium businesses where the people running the company get to know everybody inside the company. Because when we get emotionally involved with the people that work for us, we have a really hard time letting them go. And that's deselection. And it's really difficult. But the reason that we need to do that is for the sake of the growth of the company. What did John Mackey do? He deselected his own father. So if a super successful person can deselect his own father, why can't you deselect someone that you're not even related to? Because you've gotten emotionally involved with them, you really know them, you understand their family, their commitments, their concerns, their health problems. You know all the reasons why you shouldn't deselect this person, and so you don't, and then they affect the rest of your company. So here's a person who's super successful who claims that one of her secrets to success was the ability to deselect when necessary. Next slide, Chris. Who is this person? Barbara Corcoran. And what show is she on? Shark Tank, that's right. You know that she was originally passed over for Shark Tank? She was passed over, but then she pushed the producer of the show and said, no, you need to let me audition. She forced her way into the audition, and she got the audition and she got on the show, and she's just re-signed for an additional contract. Barbara says that one of her secrets to success was to deselect the wrong people, because she knew that her company couldn't grow to the point where she was able to sell it to Century 21 for, I believe it was $66 million. And you know where that number came from? The price that she sold her real estate firm to Century 21? She just made it up. She just drew it out of thin air. She said, that number sounds really good to me, 66 million. And at first they said, But you know Barbara, she goes all the way. She said, 66 million or nothing. She ended up getting it, and the rest is history. And so she told the Shark Tank people, oh, I got money. I can invest, I have money. Yeah, she had no problem. Okay, next slide. So once you deselect the wrong people, love the people that you keep. Love them and show them that you love them. Give them your all. I've heard many companies say, we love our customers. But how often do you hear companies say, we love our employees? Often it's, we love our customers and we take our employees for granted. But when you truly love your employees, guess who they love?
You.
Well, you and your customers, exactly. But if you don't love your employees, then who do they not love so much? You and, well, let's not worry about themselves, but your customers, exactly. This is a secret of super achievement. Love your employees. I just read an article from Harvard Business Review, just in the last day or two, that said that companies that give stock options to their employees reap greater innovation from those employees. Because what they're doing is they're giving those employees a stake in the company's future. And that encourages innovation within the employee base. So love your employees, you'll have more innovative, more committed, more long-term focused employees. I love that. So let's think of ways that we can love our employees. In my latest newsletter, I sent out an article that I think it was 10 ways to recognize your employees. 10 different ways. One way was to create a plaque. Give them a plaque for some achievement that they've done. Money they've saved the company. A great idea to save the company money. An anniversary. Or some other reason that you can come up with. Give them a plaque. Most employees never receive a plaque, and they'll love it. And what does it cost, really? $15? And the creativity as to what to put on that plaque. Okay, so next slide, Chris. You need to ensure the team works well together. Love the employees, but work on how they can work better together by doing these two things. Next slide, Chris. Giving them training. Giving them training. Large companies typically set aside training budgets for their employees. When I worked at Oracle, this was before they were really mean to Pleasaton and PeopleSoft. They set aside a $6,000 annual budget for their employees for training. $6,000. We were kept so busy, productive, that it was hard to use that $6,000 each year, but it was there. It was there. Most small businesses do not set aside training budgets for their employees. It's rare for a small business to send an employee to a conference. Almost everyone that goes to conferences, usually the owner or employees of large companies. Ken, my one full-time employee, he will be going to San Diego in February for the 3rd time to a conference that he likes to go to. It's a digital marketing conference. He really likes it. And so he gets to go on a business trip. He's a small business employee. There's 2.5 of us in my company. But he gets to go to conferences just like the big guys. And he likes that a lot. And so I see that as a good investment in him. But some people say, I don't know about training my employees because they might get so good that they didn't want to go. But what if you don't invest in them and they stay? That's what happens. Okay, here's the last slide in this section as we wrap this up. Your employees, Chris, next slide please. Your employees also want coaching and mentoring. And this is especially true if you have millennials working for you. Millennials don't like to be told what to do on a regular basis. They absolutely abhor micromanagement. They want to be coached and mentored, not managed. And this is difficult for those of us that are baby boomers like me to understand. They want to be just given the task and then let them run with it and figure it out. They're very independent. They like to work from home. They like to work from coffee shops. Ken doesn't have an office. He works at Phil's Coffee and he loves it. That's the way he likes to work. I can't work in a coffee shop like that unless I have to. I need a closed door in an office. So it's important that you understand that your employees want coaching and mentoring. Okay, let's wrap up this section of the presentation. Next slide, please. Okay, a review of these concepts regarding your team. Choose the right people, deselect the wrong ones. Love the ones that you keep. Show them that you love them by training them, helping them to work better together, coaching and mentoring them. By doing this, you will have a very strong team that will support you in the achievement of your big idea. Okay, next slide, Chris. So I want to leave you with this thought from Jim Rohn. Can you see it in the back? Should I read it? Can you see? Oh, you can see it there. Okay, yeah. So you can see it on the screen over there. I love this concept that you don't pursue success. That's a fool's game. But if we work on ourselves and follow habits and success traits like these, then success is attracted to us. Follow these ideas. They are honed from many years of research and study of super achievers. Because I believe, next slide, Chris, for you, it's your time to shine in 2016. I wish you great success as you go forward. And thank you to Jennifer and VREN for bringing me out here today. Next slide, please. If you would like to get my newsletter or reach me, go through my website, buildandbalance.com. I have some business cards with me, and the full presentation of Success Secrets of the Super Achievers will be delivered in late January at my office in Burlingame if you'd like to find out more about that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Michael, so much.